right, guys. So today we're going to be talking about a couple things. So one, we're going to be talking about productivity schedules and how I feel that you can be the absolute most productive. And a lot of people have asked me as I share my screen, what are some of the things that I use every single day to make myself more productive? We've went over last time about how I focus on using a specific camera, which is my iPhone, instead of using a traditional camera. These are small little tools and resources that make me just a little more successful in how I'm able to accomplish going through 30 Zoom meetings on a weekly basis, having a couple production meetings during the week, going on a couple productive listing appointments during the week. Doing all these things in one midst requires the one thing that we can't ever gain back, and that is time. So how do I gain back time? Through efficiency, because I can't add more time to my day. So let me jump right into it, into a few tools and resources. And over the next week or so, I will try and record many little seminars on what make me successful with these particulars. So I'm going to bring it right in and go straight into it. So if I share my screen right up here at the top, let me share this as an entirety. Okay, so right up here at the top, I'm going to close a couple of these down so you guys can see what I'm actually going up. So right here at the top of the screen, let me change this a little bit and zoom in here if I can zoom. It's not going to play. All right, so right here up at the top, I have this first bar. This is a program that allows me to basically go through and adjust my page to bring up stuff as I need it and put it in a place. So Apple actually has a way to just split your screen into two screens. But let's say that I bring up all these pages again. And as you can tell, this one's a little crazy. And I want to push this to the right half. Okay, and I want to take this one and push it to the lower bottom half, okay, bottom left, and then I want to take another one and move it into another place in the entire environment. So they will only restrict to the size that they have the ability to. This one, for instance, will not go any smaller. So if I wanted to take this and move it to the lower half, I could do that. And once again, it will only restrict down to the size that I can get. But in my music, for instance, I can throw that to the center half. Okay, I can throw it to the bottom left. I can throw it to the bottom right or bottom half, any of those details. Once again, this is just a quick way to snap all your screens into one environment, and just has some efficiency in the fact that if I'm working with multiple screens, it gives me that capability. So let me close a couple of these back down. All right. So next one. And guys, I'm going to go through these real quick. Like I said, I'll go into more detail as I go forward. The next one is probably one of my favorite, or one of my most recent favorite, and that is called Stream Deck. So anybody that's doing a lot of live streaming, you'll probably know what a Stream Deck is. I use it in a different format. So a Stream Deck basically has the ability to create shortcuts for things that you do. For instance, I have my video here and it allows me to run scenes that I have going. I only have one scene running right now, but I can go to next scene, pick camera, and so on and so forth. I can share my screen by just a click of the button. And this allows me to either close my screen down or bring it back up. It allows me to show or hide my picture in picture, and so on and so forth. So it's just a very powerful tool. Now, I've taken this a little step further, and that has allowed me so let me show my phone real quick. That has given me the opportunity that now I have the ability to show productivity in a much richer format. Okay, so let me throw myself back into the screen here. All right, so as you can see right here, I have my screen, and as you can tell, it's a proactive screen. So in my actual phone, I've created a Stream Deck. Now you can buy a piece of hardware for this that will do this as well. I use an old iPhone for the purpose that we have a ton of old iPhones around, so mine as well. But one of the cool parts about it is that I have the ability to do things like launch Chrome. So if I press this little Chrome button that's popping out at me, that opens up my Chrome tab. If I this little one that says Realtor up at the top, that will bring up a connection that sends out a shortcut to all my buyer's agents. Okay. I have some if this then that connections. I have a bunch in here. Like I said, much more robust. If I want to get into that, it is it's a rabbit hole, and we can go through that rabbit hole pretty quick. And remember, I want to try and keep this to about 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to keep going as we go forward. So that's Stream Deck. I have the ability to do things like shortcuts through Discord and through Home Assistant, through Zapier, through Apple Music. So it can control my playlist. It can control it's all in one snapshot as a peripheral to my actual device. I also have the ability to do stuff with Zoom, so I can mute, video toggle. It's basically giving me a second screen with an old iPhone. There is a cost for it, but it's very minimal, and I find it to be one of my most efficient. I think that will be the funnest video because I've added some really cool shortcuts that allow me to do things on a really quick basis. All right, so just to kind of keep ourselves moving, I'm going to go back up here and bring up some more information. So this next one is my Camo Camera. I discussed this in last week's training, and this allows me to be able to see my camera and be able to manipulate my camera into a wide lens, a ultra wide, and then into a telephoto close. I can do a lot of different things here. I can take myself into a portrait mode, a basic portrait mode, an emoji face, which is always kind of cool, right? So let's see if it's gonna work. There you go. There's my emoji face. Okay. Or I can take myself into emoji hands. Okay. Right. I have my hand. Okay. Some cool stuff. Like I said, I don't use any of that. The one thing that I will probably sometimes use is a portrait mode that kind of diffuses out the background because I usually have people, as you can tell, walking up and down the back road. I love this program. I discussed this last week, so if you want to go back and tune into last week, that is a great one. The next one is a really great use in my particular environment. So this is a AI, artificial intelligence, that drowns out the background noise. So if you were actually in my office, you would hear a bunch of extra background noise that was going around. Because of this program, it is called Crisp. There is a small expense if you use it over a certain amount of time. If you use it, I think, under 110 minutes, then it trims out no expense. It is a great program, one of my favorites. I keep it active all the time. And I actually have my entire team on this, ISA team, and I just feel that this is a really strong program. I love it. It gives me a ton of functionality in my daily task items. And I can use this with any of my microphones, and it will trim out most of the background noise. I can actually record my radio show with this while other people are around me, and you don't hear the background noise. At least you don't hear it as much. And you can do some really cool things with a test noise cancellation, which has a lot of functionality. Okay, next one. This one is for redundancy. Guys, in the past, I've had trouble with internet issues going in and out. This kind of adds some redundancy to that. So this is Speedify. So Speedify is a couple things. Number one, it is let me move my screen here. Move this over here. So Speedify allows me to do a VPN access, which is a virtual private network, which allows people not to search my traffic or interrupt my traffic. I use that for the purpose of just kind of keeping, I have people's information on my computer. I want to make sure that's protected. That's one. Number two, though, is Speedify allows you to bond multiple internets. Okay. Now that might sound a little robust for a second, but basically what it does is it allows me to, as you'll see in just a moment, I'm going to connect a second internet here so you can see this and see what it actually does for if you're out in the field and you need to have a really secure internet, something that's not going to drop multiple times. This just has a tremendous amount of value here. And if you give me 1 second, I just have to turn my phone off of airplane mode for a minute. And basically, I will use my phone as a secondary backup to my entire process. So once again, just adding that little extra, and if it will give up a second, while that loads. If I were to plug an internet connection in here, I can have my Wi-Fi connection and I can have my other connections as well. So while that loads, give me a second. I'm going to go on to the next one while that loads. This is just my VPN access. So this allows me to see if I'm connected to my VPN. I have my Bluetooth and other details here. One of the things that I think a lot of people aren't using on their Bluetooth is making sure that they're connected to the right actual microphone. And one of the things that I think under the new dashboard is using this new section gives a bunch of effects. So one, your actual FaceTime camera now gives some video effects. So a lot of the things that I used to use old programs for are now functional in the actual backend system or natively into what's going on every day. So things like video effects, I can put myself in portrait mode in any of the things that are using my camera right now. Another one that's a big one is this little button right here. And a lot of times people might have issues on Zoom or on recording live video. And all they have to do is basically turn on their audio here and make sure that they're connected to the one they want. And two, that they're getting the information that they actually want. So I have a bunch of audio sources. Not everybody's going to have that many, but just a great resource. And then one of the things that I do use on a regular basis is this right here. And this allows me to connect to my iPad, which is just to the left of me, and use it as a secondary screen. I actually sometimes will operate as many as 3 screens at one time. And I just find that this is a great resource for me to be successful in communicating with people, communicating with details, and being able to have multiple things go on all at the same time. All right, let's see if I can go back to this real quick and check this out. So basically, when I'm operating, I can add in that second internet, and I use Speedify both on my phone and I use it on my device. And the reason that I use it in multiple formats, there you go. So my iPad, now I just connected it through a cord, is now pumping internet into my actual computer. So if I were to lose my Wi-Fi, okay, which is Bird's Nest, I'm going to have my iPad take up and operate that. I can operate it as redundant. So I can go down here and say bonding mode. I can put it into streaming. If I need to get speed, then I can go into a speed mode, or I can do what's called redundant, which basically sends out the packets in 2 different ways and allows me to just keep really strong internet. Guys, some of this may be very technical, and I understand that, but I want you to understand that this is stuff that's been learned over time. This is not an immediate recourse. You don't go immediately into using some of these tools. What you do is you find that, hey, I had a problem with this, so I want to add in a layer of this to make it just a little simpler. For instance, that Stream Deck, it is built as a video tactic. It's used for video streaming or gaming streaming, all that stuff. But I found a way that it works in my business every day to make me just a little more efficient. And that's the real key here, is that finding tools and then making them better, using them for better experiences. I run a very chaotic and hectic basis, but I try to do it in a efficient manner. And that's what I want you guys all to kind of be looking at, is how do we run an efficient basis of being successful? So there are a few of the things that I use every single day. They are on my dashboard for that very specific reason. They are what, like for instance, my Stream Deck is what's been switching cameras from one place to another. These are things that just add in a little layer. Now, any of these things, you might only use one, you might only use two. For instance, I mentioned last week that you can use your iPhone for a camera. That Camo Studio is a great resource. You might just have one of those things on there, and that's the Camo Studio, but that allows you to now do other things with it. And that just adds a little extra layer of professionalism, one. It also allows a little extra layer of, redundancy and consistency through one. If you're doing a lot of online stuff, if you're doing a lot of social media stuff, this can just layer in, guys. And keep in mind, YouTube is a great resource. I'm just kind of giving this information. Believe me, I'm on YouTube on a regular basis trying to figure out how to put things into play. So I hope that was useful. I hope that was kind of beneficial, and just saying, hey, these are a few of the things that I use every day to stay efficient and to keep efficient through what I do. And believe me, it does not always work. Please understand that it does not always work. It works sometimes. And when it works great. And when it doesn't, It does not work at all. So hopefully that was beneficial, guys. Have a great day. I'm capping out at about 15 minutes here. So if you need anything, if you have any questions, like I said, this video was completely shot based on about 4 people that asked me, what are these little tokens that are at the top of my screen? I hope I addressed them all. If not, I will address them in many videos over the next week or so I can put those out. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. And remember, this is not just real estate oriented. Everything that I just went over can be any entrepreneur using these things to their benefit. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.